Hello and welcome, my name is Sid, his name is Vivo V5 and you are watching its review. A phone whose USP is its front-facing camera. However, apart from clicking good selfies, this phone can do a lot of other things as well. Yet, all of the other things it does in a pretty mediocre way. It's a new phone, it has been priced under 18,000 rupees and by the end of this video, you would by sure know whether or not this phone is for you or not. So, without any further ado, let's start the review. Oh, and since I did not go to On Demand for the launch event, this video review is going to be 100% unbiased. Ding! Now, I have reviewed the Vivo V3 Max in the past and here's what I had to say about the company back then. Brands like Vivo and Oppo might not be that popular in the north. Yet, what these two brands in particular offer is something that is lost these days, and that is offline retailing. You do not have to rely on e-commerce websites and their flash sales to grab a device. What I need you to know is that Vivo this year seems to have upped its marketing budget. You see them hire a superstar, you even see them title sponsor a cricket tournament. So do check out that video to know more about Vivo, but for here and now, let's concentrate on the device in the hand. And let's first start with the designing itself, which I kinda like. You get a metal unibody, you get metal on back, metal on sides, and even though the designing is a bit inspired from say an Oppo F1s or an Asus Zenfone Max, it does look a very premium looking device, so there are no complaints here. Turn the device around, you get glass front, which is made up of some form of Gorilla Glass, but the company hasn't specified the version yet. And if you go a bit down, you can see two standard backlit capacitive buttons, along with a capacitive home button, which houses in one of the fastest fingerprint scanner I've seen on Android in this budget. And one more thing I like about this phone is its speaker quality. When you play the sounds at the highest volume setting, they tend to get a bit distorted, but otherwise it's one of the best sounding speakers I've seen for under 20,000 rupees and one of the best speakers I've seen on a Chinese smartphone. And that actually sums up everything I like about this phone. But it won't matter because at the end of the day, it's a selfie phone. Let's now talk about the display, which apart from being protected by an unknown version of Gorilla Glass, also comes with a tempered glass pre-pasted on its 5.5-inch screen. HD screen. Now, the display is not necessarily bad. I felt it's quite bright and the colors too are fine, and you also get one-handed mode. However, at this price point, not having at least a full HD display is a sin that only Apple is absolved of. And with peers offering high resolution displays and with virtual reality being the talk of the town right now, the display does feel a bit underwhelming. But fret not, it can still display your selfies quite well. Coming to performance, the 4GB RAM does look a bit tempting on the paper, even though it's a bit outdated now, the DDR3 technology. It was used in phones like Asus Zenfone 2 in the past. However, in real life, it's not very tempting, and I'll tell you the reason why in a couple of minutes. But before that, let's concentrate on the processor of the smartphone. It uses a subpar MediaTek 6750 CPU, which the company is lying very low about. They're not boasting about it because it does not compare very well against phones with Snapdragon 650 CPU, phones with 820 CPU available at under this price bracket. But in terms of real life usage, performance is not that big of an issue. They all feel the same when you do routine tasks like mailing or web browsing, and this phone also handled Asphalt 8 at its highest graphics setting with absolute ease. But I became a bit suspicious and I hence installed Asphalt Extreme on this phone as well, and I also played Modern Combat 5 on the smartphone. And that is when I realized why the company was being mum about the CPU. Modern Combat runs with washed out colors and there are frame drops when you try to look to aim around while shooting. And for Asphalt Extreme, I don't even have to say anything. Here's how it runs on this one. So the phone is fine for regular users, however I won't recommend it to a hardcore gamer because of the underwhelming GPU and the subpar CPU. A CPU that is best suited only for taking selfies. Now remember I told you the RAM is a bit underwhelming, and here's the reason. Performance has two dimensions, hardware and software. And this software keeps on closing the apps in the background a bit too frequently, which renders the extra RAM that you have rather useless. And while you can choose which apps it won't close in the background, selecting individual apps is never convenient. Actually, that is exactly the thing that is missing in the software, convenience. It runs on Vivo's custom FunTouch OS based on Android Marshmallow, but there are a lot of annoyances it packs. The biggest one for me is long pressing the left key to access the recent bars rather than simply tapping it. If you know how to use a modern smartphone, you will find this odd and slow. Apart from that, Fun Touch is heavily inspired from iOS, and it does have some useful features like its nifty search bar where you can search anything from anywhere. But for me personally, icon-based recent menu is a bit of a turn off compared to the preview tiles of a stock Android. And the major inconvenience of this software is it lacks familiarity. I mean, who places battery usage statistics under about phone settings? So the software could have been miles better. As better as the selfies you can take from this phone. Let's take a selfie, give me a And now let's talk about the battery life on the smartphone. In my usage, with moderate usage, you can easily last throughout a day. But when you tend to use your phone a bit recklessly, the battery tends to drain a bit faster. However, with 2 power saving modes available in the software, battery was never a big concern for me. And surprisingly, though the company does not claim to have fast charging capabilities on the smartphone, when I hooked up my fast charger on this phone, it charged pretty fast for me. In around 100 minutes, I could go from 0 to full. So battery on this phone is decent. But you know what is even better? It's the front cam. Okay, let's stop. Let's finally talk about the cameras on the smartphone. And let's start with the sheen of this device, the front facing selfie shooter, which is very good. You can see every pore, pimple, dimple on your selfie, and being slightly wider, it's also good for group fees too. Though there are times in artificial light where the phone struggles and depicts some noise, in low light scenarios, the front facing flashlight makes this phone a boon for selfie enthusiasts. And there's also a beauty mode given in the selfie camera. Don't use that. It's so fake, it can turn a Tarzan into a Snow White. But in retrospect, the front cameras on this phone are pretty good. They're in fact one of the best selfie shooters out there under this price bracket. But when you switch to the back camera, you realize that the phone only clicks well from one direction. The shots in daytime are good. Actually, they are great. They are very well detailed. But when you move into the indoor conditions, the quality starts to suffer a bit and noise seeps in. The noise gets even more pronounced when the lights get dimmer. Though rear flash does help at night, the cameras are at best mediocre. Also, the video recording is crappy, as the phone struggles with dynamic range, stabilization, autofocusing, and it does not even allow you to shoot at 4K. Plus, slow-mo is a pain to watch on this phone. So overall, the rear cameras too feel a bit disappointing. And now that you know everything about the smartphone, let me now tell you my verdict on this one. Now this is primarily a selfie phone, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I'm pretty sure there are other people like me who take more pictures from the front camera rather than the back one. And for us, having a good front-facing camera is very important. Yet I feel that this phone could have done something better. It could have had a better performance, better CPU, it could have had some better display, and it would have been a more compelling option that way. The biggest nuisance is the phone does not justify its mediocre specs with the hefty price tag it has to offer. Now you may come back to me saying that even a Xiaomi S6s or an Oppo F1s offer you mediocre specifications. But who said I'm going to condone them? The thing is, I'm yet to see a selfie smartphone which also is a good smartphone. And this one too is in the same league. It pertains to a particular sect of people. If taking selfies is all you do on your smartphones, if the sole objective of your life is to look good on your WhatsApp DP or your Facebook DP, if you're about to meet Shah Rukh Khan and you do not want to miss that moment, well, by all means go for it. It's a very reliable selfie camera. But if not, then there are other fish in the water, and most of the other fish are sharks compared to this one. And that's what I thought of the Vivo V5, but what is more important for me to know is what you think of the smartphone. So post your opinions in the comment box below. Apart from liking this video if you liked it and disliking it if you did not like it, but do tell me why you did not like it so I can improve. And do not forget to share this video with your friends so that we can help more people out there. Lastly, if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel. My name is Sid. I'm always here. Keep seeing me. Ciao.